The COVID-19 pandemic brought the global aviation sector to a standstill. After the trials, tribulations, and turbulence of the last 2 years, 2022 has marked the slow return and revival of this sector as tourism numbers increase globally. And in the center of this, at the vantage point, is the United Arab Emirates. The melting pot that is Dubai is home to multiple nationalities, and the city is well connected to all African destinations as well. The UAE airline flydubai is yet another Dubai-based success story. The airline has grown its network to more than 100 destinations in 50 countries and is served by a fleet of 67 Boeing aircraft. I'm Renuka Methil, and on the segment of Captains of Industry for CNBC Africa, our captain today is Mr. Gaith Al Gaith, the Chief Executive Officer of flydubai. A warm welcome to you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate, and it's my honor to be on the show.
Great, Mr. Gaith, let me start. Let me go a little back. You've been in the airline industry for more than 3 decades. You joined Emirates Airline in 1986, and you've held a number of positions, including Executive Vice President, Commercial Operations Worldwide. And flydubai was set up by the government of Dubai in 2008 as a pioneering model for the city. And you are now flying to 100 destinations. At that point, when you first started, Mr. Gaith Al Gaith, when you looked into the crystal ball, did you see yourself growing to where you are today? What was the mood then, and how do you compare it with today?
Thank God, alhamdulillah, we say, that we live in the United Arab Emirates and we are in Dubai. We always had the privilege of seeing so many success stories here where we grew. Definitely did not imagine exactly what we have right now would have happened for sure. But we always had the kind of vision by our leaders that Dubai is being created as a hub for services, people, and goods. I learned early in my career working for Emirates over 20 years that in order for us to be successful, you always need an airline. An airline is an enabler for all of the above targets for a hub. So we definitely had the vision by the government to do what we have done, and we had the success story like in Emirates and other brands out of Dubai that grew, that we could have grown to the size that we are right now, for sure.
Right. And as you rightly pointed out, the Middle East is definitely one of the biggest, has some of the biggest airlines in the world, and it's one of the biggest transit hubs for the world as well. And your mandate at flydubai is to open new markets, make travel more accessible to more people. And historically, Africa has had very good trade links with the Middle East, and you operate to 11 African countries. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you view this market? What is the potential really here in penetrating the growing tourism sector here on the African continent?
Well, it's great because, to be honest with you, 11 destination in Africa is not to be enough. We fly, as you said, over 100 destination in flydubai, and we tapped in more than 70 destinations that they were not properly served or served at all to and from Dubai. So as far as we are concerned, there is a huge potential for us in Africa. The reason that we are not tapped into the potential from Africa, I guess, has to do also with the type of aircraft that we have. We cannot reach the big populations centers that are in the west of Africa, and for example, where there is more potential. But in the future or in the coming years, we will definitely focus more in Africa. And if our also one of our biggest problem impediment in our business, sometimes there are restriction or where airline can fly. This is in general in the whole region of the Middle East and even the subcontinent, and of course in Africa. So the more governments will be more relaxed to open flights, we will also grow more.
Absolutely, that's an extremely important point. The regulatory environment where you want to fly to, as also the stable regimes that they have. I'm sure the geopolitical environment also plays a very big role in considering a destination. And as you mentioned, the smaller African markets do present a very good potential, and a lot of the big legacy carriers are also making inroads in the African market. But what is the common ground that you see between the Middle East and Africa, and also establishing new trade links and new connections, so to speak?
Well, first of all, it's a link that has been established for many years. Saying Dubai is a hub this is not something we dreamed out yesterday. This has been established for many years. I would say tens and hundreds of years. Our grandfathers sailed the sea to go to the whole of East Africa, and even to go as far as South Africa even, whereby we created trade links and contributed to then the global business that used to come from India via the Gulf and vice versa through Africa. So we always had these links. The dhows, for example, our dhows that our grandfathers has operated, sailed the seas all the way there. So that links was already there. In the same things, that created relationship. A lot of people have family relationship between people in our country, and there is also cultural issues that we share is there. So when we came then to create an economy in the United Arab Emirates that require a lot of people to work, then Africa was a very good place to have skillful and manpower for people to work. Also, when Dubai was created as a hub for goods and services, it meant that we brought customers closer to the market, one of which is Africa, where the African companies can come and create a partnership and sell their products, be it products of vegetables or any produce, or their services. They can do it here in Dubai. I remember also, for example, before China become a dominant sort of force, they are now in trades. A lot of the trades used to do via Dubai from Africa, for example. So that is what we have here in Dubai. And that is why the potential is there always to grow it and improve it more than it was before. As far back as the dhows, now we have the big giant airplane and ships that create this opportunity for our people in the United Arab Emirates and in the whole of Africa.
That's a great analogy, from the dhows on the seas to modern fleet of aircraft. And you also have a special affinity for Africa. You mentioned in your career at Emirates, you actually launched the South African route for the airline.
Well, we launched lots of routes in Africa with Emirates, but South Africa always stands out because I've been there with my family for many times on holiday. And they enjoy a lot South Africa as much as they also enjoy Mauritius. So I need now to take them to more places in Africa, because that is not all for sure. It's a beautiful continent.
It surely is, and many undiscovered, untapped destinations for all of us. Now, I alluded to the COVID-19 pandemic in my intro, and obviously now, even though tourism is recovering, is picking up, there are tighter budgets for travelers. But in the post-pandemic reality that is now, how are you seeing this passenger traffic? How really is it growing?
Well, can I first of all touch on the points on the pandemic, because there's something that we are extremely proud about here in the United Arab Emirates and in Fly Dubai during the pandemic, because I think this is a lesson. All of us or around the world, we need to understand what are the lessons that we learn from the pandemic. One of the things that we were very fortunate here in the United Arab Emirates, our leadership in the United Arab Emirates recognized from the beginning that yes, there is risk to life and risk to livelihoods. So they did everything possible to protect the people. In what was unique for us here, after 3 months of closure, especially in Dubai, we started opening our airports, started opening our market, and we are in Fly Dubai. We took advantage of that, where we mirrored the potential for restarting our business, and we started flying almost immediately after the first 3 months in 2019, to the extent by 2019 November, and after reducing our cost, deferring our payment, we were already as a company as a cash positive. The message here, how did we do this? We only be able to do this because our government created the environment for us to operate, and gave us the confidence to grow. And ever since that time, the airline has grown. A lot of airlines, for example, have not yet achieved 100% of their pre-COVID size. We are in August, we were 40% bigger than we were in August 2019, for example. And that is a message that wanted to say it to the rest of the world, or the people, to learn from what happened in the United Arab Emirates. And we need to arm ourselves with this knowledge for any future crisis. So going back to your question about the recovery, from our side, business have recovered. Because we have the hindsight to recruit, we had no issue managing the growth. Our airports is back now to capacity, even bigger than before the pandemic. We had no issue about that. So we had that gave us the hindsight to plan, the confidence that was created because of our government. And we can see now, as far as business is concerned, the only impediment now for business growth and tourism after the pandemic is the chain of supply chain and the lack of people to handle the growth of the business. Hopefully, this problem will be resolved before the end of this year all over the world. And we expect that business will come back. Unfortunately, the current economic situation that's happening around the world with inflation and increased prices of fuel will slow down the business. How much it will slow down, really very difficult to know. I am personally extremely confident that in the United Arab Emirates, we will see growth as far as business is concerned, because the success that we had in the way we dealt with the pandemic will give confidence to overall business to the United Arab Emirates. And sorry again to add another point that happened during the pandemics. Dubai and the United Arab Emirates successfully hosted Expo. And during which 6 months of Expo, we were very fortunate to attract over 25 million visitors to the Expo in Dubai. Okay, many of them were people from the country, but you had to do a security check, you had to do a health check for these people to come, and that was a huge success for us. That success will also encourage a lot of businesses to set up here in the United Arab Emirates, which should boom that side of the market.
Sure. And of course, in addition to the pandemic, you got the Ukraine war as well, which I'm sure affected the supply chain and the fuel prices. But what about fleet growth, Mr. Gaithelgate? Are you looking at mixing up the Boeing fleet? I know that you have up to 166 aircraft on order scheduled for delivery over the next decade. But will you be choosing Airbus as well? Is there some kind of arrangement there that will change?
The other issue that also we, on hindsight, we did well for 2020, 21 and 22, we expedite the deliveries and we took 30 aircraft more than what we planned to do. And again, that was a very good decision for us because we can then grow faster than we planned to do. So that was a positive decision. Of course, we have an order book of 170 aircraft, as you mentioned, and that, of course, currently will not be enough for us for sure. We continue to explore possibilities that are available to us. We have a healthy pipeline of aircraft coming in for the next few years, but that doesn't stop us from looking into expanding our fleets or expanding our book order, because we have to look beyond the next few years, and then there is a very good healthy demand for us.
Sure. And also, you have always kind of defied, or you don't fit the conventional low-cost model. You even have business class seats in the airline. You introduced that. So can you just tell us a little bit more about how you see that market? I mean, you don't fit that conventional model of a low-cost career.
Yes, actually, the low-cost conventional markets probably does not work as good as it does in countries like Europe and in the United States for simple reason. In Europe and in America, you have one market, whereby the laws that applies to the region is the same. You have one market where there is all open sky. You can fly anywhere without any restriction. And most important, you have one customer. If you draw a picture of the customer, probably you will have one picture that will fit 80% of the profile of your customer. So when you are designing a product for your customer, you can have one product that fit all. We don't have that here because we are multiple culture, different needs. And that's why that model does not work as simple as your conventional market in Europe and in America. But also, we are very fortunate. And one of our biggest strengths, I said before, is the United Arab Emirates, and it is Dubai. And Dubai is a place where it is associated with innovation and it's associated with business. So very important that you present a product that fit the requirement of the market, and then there is a lot of demand for business. And the other things that we are very proud of here in Dubai, and it's working very strong for our advantage, is Dubai Hub and our association with Emirates Airline. We coach here with Emirates, so the feed in and out of Emirates, the product, we try to align them as much as we can to ensure there is seamless flow or seamless between the two products flow for passenger.
Mr. Gaithelgate, are there any plans for any mergers or acquisitions? There are a lot of domestic airlines or airlines in the region that could be taken over. Are there any talks that we can expect in the future around this?
For us in flydubai, no. I think our growth will continue to be organic from our own network growth. And then there is really a lot of potential, for us to grow. Our mandate is that we always look and talk to many partners around the world where we can enhance our penetration of some markets by creating a relationship with airline. But taking over and managing airline and investing in airline like that is not part of our profile.
So you've been in the industry for more than 30 years. What were the speed bumps that you had in your own career? What were the challenges, particularly in this sector? And this sector has grown phenomenally in the last 3 decades.
Well, of course, the pandemic was the biggest, problem, and alhamdulillah, we managed very well. But we've seen it all. First of all, uh, during all of the crisis that went over, going back to the Gulf War here in the United Arab Emirates or in the Gulf area, the Iraq and Iran war, and until now, there is always issues. Of course, nothing like the pandemic, because this is the first time where the problem that happened during the pandemic, everybody stopped all over the world. So that has to be the biggest. And we were extremely fortunate because of the guidance of our government here and what we have done. We kind of saw the light in the end of the tunnel, and we acted. So the lesson in any crisis is that you have to try and see what will happen after the crisis. And usually, and as we saw, every problem, demand come back very fast. The issue is that when do you anticipate demand to come back, and you have to be ready for it. That's the lesson.
Right. So can you just tell us a little bit more about your plans for the African market? Are you adding more frequencies? Are there going to be any new interesting destinations? We have 54 countries on the continent. Maybe there's something new that we can expect in the coming years?
Well, we are, of course, always looking to expand in Africa. I think more will be in Central Africa now in the coming few years. And part of that acquisition you were talking about airline, we're definitely looking at aircraft that can go a little bit further and would cover bigger coverage in Africa. When we have that, then it will be easy for us to go to, I would think, more meaningful destination, because the demand is there. In Africa, as far as I am concerned, anywhere you can fly, where there is a proper airport, there will be business. Our biggest problem is some of these places, unfortunately, we do not have traffic rights approval. And if there is something that we need to learn, or some advice or some recommendation that we want to go through, people who matters, is that the more we open our traffic rights, especially in countries, or especially in our region, because don't forget, we live, for example, in the United Arab Emirates, we live in a desert. If we did not have open sky policy here in the United Arab Emirates and in Dubai, we will not be as successful. The same applies to any country that does not have a complete infrastructure. We need to open up our rules, relax our policy, and learn from what's happening in Europe. Europe is one country. People can fly around without any restriction. That's what we need to do to leverage our potential.
Learning from Europe. That's very interesting. And I'm hoping that you will also start flying into Africa's biggest economies, South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya in the near future. Just before I close off, Mr. Gaith, any mega trends in the airline sector that you see, that you're seeing now? I mean, you're at the helm of the airline. I'm sure you have more access to those kind of mega trends. So is there anything that you can share with us?
Well, right now, the infrastructure and being able to fly to many places where you cannot fly is really a big problem for us. The biggest problem right now for us definitely is the cost of the fuel. And because of the problem that's happening all over the world, not only the fuel is expensive, is also getting the fuel for the aircraft because of the lack of availability of the refineries. We are paying 4 times the cost into airplane than we are paying before the pandemic. It's a huge problem, and to me, that is the biggest issue facing us in the airline. I know it's a negative trend, but that's the only issue. Otherwise, I am very confident that business will come back. I am also one of maybe the few people always thought that nothing will replace human interaction. Whatever we think about the current or the electronic communication, people still have to travel, and that also will not change, in my opinion.
I think that's a great sentiment to leave the audience with. You know, the human touch in the airline industry is very, very imperative. Joining us on Captains of Industry was a true captain of the airline sector, Mr. Gate Al Gate, the CEO of flydubai. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye.